Hello learners. In this lecture, we will be moving ahead with a new concept which is known as Environment Impact Assessment or EIA. I am Dr. Aparna Samudra from the Department of Economics, RTM Nagpur University, Nagpur. And I will be explaining this lecture to you. The learning objectives of this are: understand the concept and need of EIA. We will then explain the types and advantages of EIA. We'll also have a look at the process of EIA, and then we will know about environmental impact assessment in India. Let us first look at what is the origin of EIA. The environment impact assessment has happened because the rapid industrialization in the 19th and early 20th centuries led to significant environmental degradation. The matter in the mid of 20th century was the major concern for most of the developed countries. The developed countries made various policies in this regard and started the process of conducting environment impact assessment. As the name indicates, we are talking about studies which want to know that what will be the impact of a development project on the environment. The concept of environmental impact assessment originated in the United States in the 1960s. The National Environmental Policy Act (NEPA) of 1969 was one of the first formal EIA processes. The three documents of Rio, that is Principle 17, Article 14 and Agenda 21, played a very important role for the consolidation of environmental impact assessment. Now, what is this concept of EIA? The International Association for Impact Assessment has defined environmental impact assessment as the process of identifying, predicting, evaluating and mitigating biophysical, social and other relevant effects of development proposals prior to major decisions being taken and commitments made. What is it? I will repeat. We say EIA is a process, that is, environmental impact assessment is a process. What does this process do? It identifies, it predicts, evaluates and mitigates. So, it is identifying, it is predicting, it is evaluating and it is mitigating. What is it mitigating? What it is identifying? What it is predicting? It is predicting the effects of any development proposal on biophysical, on social and other relevant factors before actually making major decisions and making any commitments to any type of development proposals. That is, if a development proposals come into picture, so if a proposal comes into picture, then before actually giving any type of commitment, before making any type of investment, these studies identify, predict, evaluate and mitigate the effect of these development projects in terms of biophysical, the social effects and any other relevant effects, so that any of these adverse effects can be minimized. So, it may also be defined as a formal process to predict the environmental consequences of human development activities and to plan appropriate measures to eliminate or reduce these adverse effects to augment positive effects. So, we are not saying environmental impact assessment is not saying that no development should take place, but it is more of a scientific process wherein the effects of any human development projects are evaluated beforehand and if there are any adverse effects, they are tried to be eliminated or reduced so that the total positive effects get augmented. Therefore, because it is a scientific process, it is a stepwise process where identification, evaluation, monitoring and management of the potential impacts on the environment of the local area is done. Environment impact and assessment ensures that the environmental factors are included in the development decisions. So as we say, environmental economics is about integrating the economics and environment. So we are not talking about not having economic development, rather it talks about having an economic development, keeping in mind the environmental factors. And that is what EIA does. It ensures environmental factors are included in the development decisions. It also aims to prevent, reduce, or compensate for negative biophysical, social, and other impacts of development projects. That is, whatever effects it identifies are negative to the biophysical, to social, or other impacts, those effects are tried to be prevented or reduced or compensated. In turn, it safeguards the productivity, capacity, and ecological functions of the natural system. Also, the environmental impact assessment encourages development that is sustainable and optimizes resource use and management. So, sustainability is at the core of the environmental impact assessment. Now, EIA has three main functions. First is to predict problems, because when it tries to go out in the field and see that what is the impact of a development project in biophysical, in social, in other effects, it is trying to predict the problem a development project can bring. Not only it identifies those problems or predicts those problems, it also tries to find ways to avoid them. So mitigation. And then it also, while reducing the negative effects, it tries to increase the positive effects of that development project. So the three main functions are prediction of the problem, finding ways to avoid these problems, and to enhance the positive effects. Now, let us look at how EIA and development projects work. First, we are saying anticipated environmental impact of a development project, and then environmental impact rectification after EIA. That is, first, when a project is proposed, we try to identify what is the environmental impact of that development project, and then after we do this EIA, how this environmental impact can be rectified. That is, positive effects can be magnified and negative effects can be reduced. So this is one figure which I am showing you. If you see on the left hand side, where we have anticipated environmental impact of the development project, we are saying we are taking time on the x-axis, we have taken environment on the y-axis. This straight line is showing present status in that area of the environment without the project. This is the point where the project is initiated. And it is seen that if this project gets initiated, over a period of time, there will be an adverse impact and your environment will get degraded to this point with the project. So, and in the present status, the environment level is at point, let us say A. And after the initiation of the project, the environment will get degraded to B. So, this difference AB is the adverse impact. So this is the anticipated environmental impact of the development project. Now when we do EIA, what happens is that we try to reduce this negative effect, and by certain policy measures, by making changes in the development project. And then what do we see is that EIA, if without EIA, the environment would have been here. With EIA, and the project getting implemented, the environmental degradation is lower. So if initially you were at A, without EIA we were at B, so the environmental degradation had come from A to B, but because of EIA was implemented, it bridged the gap and we get a better quality environment. Of course, it's not the same as it was earlier, but of course better than what it would have been without a EIA. So by having an EIA, we are reducing the adverse effect of the development of that project. We are not saying that that project should not be executed, but projects should be executed in such a way that it reduces the environmental damage. What are the objectives of EIA? It first considers environmental factors in the decision-making process of any project. Then it identifies potential environment, social and economic impacts of that proposed activity. Thereafter, it takes steps at initial stages to minimize that adverse environmental impacts. In doing so, what EIA is doing is, it is promoting sustainable development through environment management plan by either alternatives or mitigation measures, as we have just seen a few minutes back. Very important aspect of EIA is the public participation. That is, whatever decisions are being taken with respect to that project, they are in consultation with the public. So, public participation in the decision making of the establishment of the proposed activity is a very important component of EIA. Now, let us go to the various types of EIA. We can have an EIA which is a strategic environmental assessment. It may be regional, it may be sectoral, or it may be project level. So, various types of EI, environmental impact assessments, can be done. They can be done at the project level, they can be done at a sectoral level, they can be done at a regional level, or they may be done at a strategic environment assessment level. Now, what is strategic environmental assessment? We'll have a look. It is the analysis of environmental effects of development policies, plans and programs. That is the broadest form of EIA which we do, wherein we talk about that how development policies, plans and programs have an effect on the environment. What is the purpose of this? The purpose of such an assessment is to assist in sound environmental decision making by making an improvement in the development projects. This type of assessment represents a proactive approach for integrating socio-economic values with the environmentally viable development for higher level of decision making. Because strategic environment assessment is done at the development policy level, this assessment is a proactive approach wherein integration of socio-economic values is done with environmentally viable development projects, and hence this is being done at a higher decision making level. The second type of EIA is regional. The context is on regional planning. Strategic was at a macro level. We are coming to a next level, that is the regional planning. It integrates the environmental and economic concerns of a particular region due development planning. For example, if we are talking about regional planning of Northeast India. So, how the development projects will have an impact on the Northeast India, or let us say the hilly regions of the country. What will be the environmental impact and what are the economic concerns of that particular region due to the development planning? This approach is also referred to as economic cum environmental development planning. Why? Because we want to have an economic growth as well as we are trying to save the environment. So, those regions which are environmentally sensitive, their economic growth is also expected, but not damaging the environment is also expected. So, such regional EIAs help in doing so. This third type of EIA is sectoral EIA. As the name indicates, it is an environmental impact assessment of a particular sector. So it focuses on particular sectors, for example, on power plants, on transportation, on energy. For example, if a new power plant is being set up, then what will be the impact of the power plant of that particular sector on that region or on that particular area? It focuses on such areas. Sectoral EIAs helps in addressing specific environmental problems which are encountered in planning and implementing sectoral development projects. So specific projects, for example, we are talking about having a metro rail. So that's a development project relating to transportation. But what are the specific environmental problems which a metro rail project may encounter in its planning and implementation is studied in sectoral EIA. It evaluates the environmental impact of projects or activities within that particular sector only. Unlike this regional EIA or the strategic EIA, which were at a larger level, sectoral level are talking about the impact of environment on that sector only. In India, for example, it is now mandatory under the Environmental Protection Act for 29 categories of development activities involving investment of 50 crores and above to have the sectoral EIA. Then we also have a project level EIA, which refers to development activity, impact of development activity in isolation. It specifically targets only one development activity and does not integrate the cumulative effect of development in the region. So it's only with respect to a particular project. Now we have understood what are the various types of EIA, what EIA intends to do. Let us quickly have a look at the history of EIA in India. It was in 1976-77 that EIA was initially introduced for river valley projects by Planning Commission. So whatever river valley projects were being commissioned, they wanted to understand that what is the environmental impact of that. In 1986, the Environmental Protection Act was passed and it gave central government the power to regulate and control environmental pollution. In 1994, the Ministry of Environment and Forest issued an EIA notification making environmental clearance mandatory or expansion or modernization of any activity or for setting up new projects which were listed in Schedule 1 of the notification. So something which was totally new, in 1994 it was concretized by way of this notification. In 2006, a significant overhaul of the EIA process was done, with the notification being issued in September. This notification introduced a two-stage clearance process for any development project falling under Schedule 1, wherein screening and scoping was to be done of that project, followed by public consultation. The new legislation, which was Environmental Protection Act of 2006, put the onus of clearing the projects on the state government depending on the size and capacity of the project. In 2019, draft EIA notification introduced and it replaced a 2006 notification. In 2020, a revised draft EIA notification was issued and it incorporated feedback but is still facing opposition for environmental groups and activities for various reasons. In 2023, the final notification was expected to be issued, but as of now, it is under discussion because a lot of debate is being done with respect to this and because also it will have a lot of implication on the environmental governance. So that is the history of EIA in India. Now let us quickly have a look at the various steps which are involved in EIA. The environmental impact assessment starts with the screening of the project. Then it talks about scoping, that is what is the scope of this assessment, whether it is regional, sectoral or project specific. Then alternative considerations are done, that is what is there any alternative apart from this development project. Then a project development plan is developed. After the project plan is developed, an environmental baseline data collection is done. That is, without the project, what is the situation of the environment in that area? Then identification and prediction of key impacts is done. After the identification and prediction is done, and if certain negative effects are seen, then how these negative effects can be mitigated and managed by way of these environmental impacts is done. Thereafter, public consultation and hearing is done. Then EIA presentation and decision making after public consultation, and then not only decision making, after the decision, when the project is implemented, monitoring is also done, and then eventually we audit over a period of time whether the project is following the mitigation measures which were introduced in EIA or not. So this is a generalized EIA process flowchart which I am showing, wherein we start with proposal identification, then screening, if EIA is required, then scoping, that is what is the scope of this project, then impact analysis there, mitigation is done, report is given, a review is done, review after review, a decision making has to be done. If it is not approved, then this project has to be redesigned and resubmitted. If it is approved, then implementation and follow-up, which is we have just said, auditing is done. If there is no EIA, initial environmental examination, no EIA, then it goes about. But public involvement is a very important aspect of EIA. What are the advantages? Of course, it improves the project design beforehand because it talks about biophysical, social and economic effect of that particular development project on the environment. Of course, it will give a more informed decision making because we know beforehand that what is going to happen to the environment after the implementation of this project. It also increases the project acceptance because public is getting involved in decision making to whether to accept this project or not to accept this project. If it has to be accepted, what changes are there? Public hearing is done, public consultations is done, hence there is increased project acceptance. It also leads to improved integration of projects into environmental and social setting because beforehand all these effects are studied and positive effects are amplified and negative effects are mitigated. It also reduces environmental damage because mitigation measures are done beforehand. So let us revise what we did in this lecture. We talked about that development projects are definitely essential component of any economic development progress of country. We cannot talk about progress without having power plants, without having transportation projects, without having dams. So they are very essential. However, EIA is the tool for anticipating any harmful effects or development activities on the environment by screening, scoping, collecting data, by having baseline data, by talking to the public, by talking about mitigation measures, by monitoring. This particular assessment is made more scientific, which reduces the environmental damage. It increases the public acceptance, and then both environment and economic development go hand in hand. So I hope you like this lecture and appreciate the importance of having EIA before implementation of any environmental project. Thank you very much.